What do you value in your life? See, we think it's all about us, but really there's something more about it that we value. Let me give you an example. When Elizabeth and I first got married, and we've been married 33 years, and we have a great time. We're looking forward to the marriage conference on Friday and Saturday, but we've been 33 years. We have 5 children. Well, when we got married, I had never had children before. I come from a small family. She comes from a large family. So the small family, you know, it's easier than with a large family, if you haven't figured that out. And so I had a habit before we had children that I valued something very dearly. I loved TV. I watched television. I wouldn't say I was a television addict, but I was as close as you could be without being one. So borderline. I loved the news. That's when 24-hour news started coming into play. I love sports, and I'm a sports guy, so I kind of love every type of sports. You know, I even watch curling. I love everything. And so if it's on, and then there were a few situation comedies that I liked back then. Back then, they weren't as bad as they are now. It's kind of MASH and those kind of things. And so I loved all that. So we're married, and no big deal. We're watching TV, watching TV, watching TV. Then all of a sudden, first child comes, watching TV, watching TV, watching TV. Second child comes, watching TV. And finally, Elizabeth said, something's got to go here. Who do you value? You know, I was a good guy, providing, good Christian, but I came home and spent hours in front of the TV. Good stuff, not bad stuff. This is not, you know, immoral stuff, but it was still a lot of stuff. And finally, we said, okay, we got to go cold turkey on this one. So in 1989, we pulled the plug and gave the TV away. Haven't had a TV since. So 26 years. Oh, wow. Wow, that's good. You're supposed to get convicted at the end of the sermon, not at the beginning. So, no TV. Now, we eventually bought a little one for storms, and we have a battery one, and of course, we go watch the Super Bowl at a friend's house. So it's not about the TV. It's about I was addicted to the TV. And in fact, when I took the TV, I gave the TV away, and it was right before they had cable in the TV. You remember the boxes? You guys are too young for this, but you actually put a box on the top of your TV to get, remember that? The brown box from Comcast or Group W or whatever. So I'm taking it back to get my deposit back at Comcast, and I'm standing in the long line that none of us know about today, and I'm in line, and I hand it back, and the lady goes to me, oh, you must have one of those new TVs where it's built in. I go, no. She goes, oh, are you moving away? I go, no, I gave away our TV. And we had the old big screen, you know, the small big screens. Now they're really big like this one. And so the guy behind me goes, you gave your TV away? You no TV? And so the guy was kind of going like you were. And it stopped the line, and he goes, I'm a journalist. And he goes, can I do an article on you? So, you know that section where all the, odd people are? I don't know. Section H or something in the section. So it was about Father's Day coming in about a month. He goes, let's run it on Father's Day weekend. Well, so we did. It was amazing. The calls, I got calls 10 years later about that article. Anyway, it was really fun. But what was interesting was, one of the things my father taught me as a child, he said, I want to travel, and all of you know how I love to travel, because I want to see what God is doing around the world and what people are doing around the world and see it firsthand. And one of the things was, when you watch TV, you see it secondhand. You see what other people see about the rest of the world. And so one of the byproducts was, I started taking my kids traveling to see the world. And so people would say to me, and I wasn't a pastor, just a business person, they would say, how can you afford to travel? Because I wasn't making a fortune. How can you afford to travel? And I always said these words, and I never knew why I said them. I always said, because I don't have a TV. And I never knew why I said it. And they would look at me perplexed, and then I would look at them perplexed, and then we would move on. And I never knew why I said it. Now, I'm not a preacher of against TV anymore. I used to be. Before I became a preacher of the gospel, I was a preacher against TV. I'm a preacher of the gospel now. You do what you want with your TV. But what was interesting was, there was a correlation to the ability of me to travel versus owning a TV, and I never understood it till this week. I was reading, and I found a survey of what it costs the average American to watch TV. Now, not the cost of the TV and not the cost of the cable. You can figure that out for yourself. But what does it cost you as an average person in America to watch TV? You know what the answer is here? For every hour you watch TV a week, it costs you $208 a year. Just what it is. On average, that means some of you are spending more than that per year, not per week, 1 hour per week. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but add that up for 10 hours a week. You watch 10 hours of TV a week, it costs you $2,080 a year that you spend more money in. If you watch 20 hours a week, it's $4,000. You do the math. That's a lot of money it costs you. Why? Because it was a story on greed. The fact that commercials affect you. We say it doesn't affect us, but in reality, it does affect us. That I was watching way more than 20 hours a week. I was saving probably $5,000 a year on average because I wasn't watching TV, and I didn't know about all those new gadgets. I didn't know about all those new things. I didn't know you're supposed to have these things, so I didn't know it. I didn't spend it. I spent it on travel. The point of this is this. Go to the next slide. If you watch TV, then you will on average save less and spend more. Now, you didn't come here for an economics lesson, but there is a cause and there is an effect. If you do something, then something else will happen. The Bible is filled with if-thens. It's enormous what is in the Bible if-then. Think about it. A man came to Paul in Acts 16 and said, "What must I do to be saved?" He said, "If you believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, then you will be saved." How many of you saw War Room over the last couple of weeks? I saw it this week. I enjoyed it tremendously, and it's a movie about prayer. I'm not giving away anything. If you haven't seen it, I don't recommend movies, but if I were, I would recommend this movie. But I don't, but if you want to, it's a good movie. At the end of the movie, so I'm not going to give it away, but at the end of the movie, they put a verse at the end. It's a great movie. They put a verse at the end, like a lot of police, sometimes they tell you the rest of the story. They put a verse, 2 Chronicles 7:14, which says, "If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land." Do you see the if-then? If you pray and humble yourselves, I will hear you and forgive you and heal your land. Now, that was a promise to the Old Testament. I'm not saying it's an exact promise today, but it's an if-then.